Welcome to Top Sports Talk, presented to you by Top Sports News. I am one of your hosts, Caleb Jenneret, and as always, next to me is my co-host, Isaac Deer. Isaac, know it's been a busy week for both of us, newly graduates. Round of applause for you.
And a round of applause for you.
Appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Oh, man.
Newly grads. It only took 6 years.
Me too. Me too, buddy.
We got it done.
It's been a long road. It's been a very, very long, windy, blizzardy, rainy road, but we made it. Man, I'm happy. I'm stoked. I don't like plotting for myself on anything, but in this case, dang it, we should be wearing our cap and gown right now, honestly. Like, we should. But
I would be if it wasn't so hot in that thing, and if it wasn't all the way in my car.
Oh man, I was about to say, I think we should put them on, but that's all right.
Yeah, maybe I'll throw something up here. Who knows? If there was something up right there, congratulations. If there wasn't, I got tired. So there's your explanation to that one. As always, we want to thank our gold sponsors, Vista Credit Union and Family Guidance Center, and the University of Kansas Health Systems St. Francis campus for continuing to sponsor Top Sports News. And shout out to the ticker. We don't have much more. We don't have much sports left in the year. So if you haven't done the ticker, now's a perfect time to do it. Get in there, throw in the scores, throw in the stats, throw in the times, throw in the points, just throw in anything you want. Everyone wants to see it. Everyone wants to stay up to date. But we have a little bit of a regional preview going on today. But before we get to that, we want to congratulate the twins from Topeka West, the Cusick twins, Ian and Miles Cusick from Topeka West won the tennis 5A state doubles championship this past weekend. The big boost from the doubles score helped Topeka West win their first ever tennis state title as a team. So round of applause for them. Yeah. And round of applause for the Cusick twins for repeating as 5A state doubles champions. But as I mentioned, we do have regional previews as we're getting into the postseason. As we mentioned many times on this podcast, on these shows, spring sports season goes incredibly fast. And we're already at the end. We're already almost at the end of this season, I guess if you want to call it, of Top Sports Talk. It was a pleasure doing it with you, but we'll have at least a couple more episodes for you guys. So we're going to get into our regional preview now. So we're going to start off with baseball, starting off in 6A with some county teams. Topeka High, who is 12-6 on the year, will host Garden City, who's 7-13 in the first round. The winner takes on the winner of Junction City versus Campus for the regional championship. On the other side, Washburn Rural, 7-12, will hit the road to take on its rival Derby, who's also 7-12. For Washburn Rural, if they beat Derby, they'd have to face the winner of Wichita Northwest and Dodge City for a chance to get back into the state tournament.
Yeah, and Topeka High has been kind of one of those stories, one of those feel-good stories this year. They've had a really good season, and they're honestly one of the hotter teams in Class 6A. They've had an insanely good year. I think they went over some expectations, and they've been balanced with some really good pitching. Their batting, kind of an assembly line effort, very contagious. Their small ball is really good. It's an exciting team to watch, and they always just find ways to win the game. So I think Topeka High, I mean, it's very favorable for them, and they're hosting. So that I think they're set up in a really good situation here. And then with Washburn Rural, the other Centennial League team that has a chance to make it to the 6A state tournament once again. It wasn't the prettiest regular season. It wasn't the regular season that they wanted at all, quite frankly. But right now they are playing really well. And baseball is all about streaks. It's all about timing. Everything is matching up well for Washburn Rural at this moment. They've won 5 out of their last 8 games, and their win total on the year is 7. So if that tells you what kind of baseball they're playing right now, they're playing spectacular, and they're playing the best that they've had all year. And I think that experienced team that was just in that dance last year, I think they are in a really good situation right now. And I think that with their play and with the hot streak and everything else, Washburn Rural it's in their favor. So don't count them out quite yet. This is could be interesting for the Junior Blues, and for Topeka High, they have a really good chance as well to make it to the tournament.
Yeah, and baseball is one of those sports where the right team shows up one day, then you never know what's going to happen. And Washburn is a very talented team, so would not be surprised at all to see them in the state tournament. But moving down to 5A, which with a pair of intriguing matchups in the regional bracket, Shawnee Heights, who's 12-8, has a tough matchup in the opening round with Blue Valley Southwest, also 12-8. If the Thunderbirds survive, they'll get either Sumner or Baser Linwood. Seaman, who's 16-4, will host a regional and will play KC Washington, who's 8-9 right away. They're favored in this match, and if they win, they'll take on Lansing or St. James Academy.
And we know exactly what kind of program Seaman is. I can't even think at the top of my head how many times they've been to the 5A state tournament in the last couple of decades, but we know what they're capable of. Obviously, favored pretty heavily in this Washington matchup, and I really think they'll probably win that game. After that, though, that Lansing St. James matchup, whoever wins that, it'll be tough no matter what. I know Lansing had a win against Seaman earlier this year, but Seaman's a really good team, an extremely experienced squad. They have a tremendous ability really to just win games and power through any adversity that really hits their way. I mean, their pitching is great. Bryce and Vaughter leading the way. Their bats are really good. They're one of the top teams in 5A for a reason. And I think they really do have a good shot in this regional, which they get at home in Northwest Topeka. They get to host that, which is good for them. It's always better to do that than hit the road. So Seaman's got a great slate here, and I think that they have a good opportunity to keep advancing. And Shawnee Heights, not a very good draw in the first round. Blue Valley Southwest is an extremely good team, kind of notorious for having great talent on its roster year in and year out. They're doing really well again this year, but for Shawnee Heights is also doing really well. They are talented 1 through 9, great pitching. It's a really stacked roster, honestly. You look at some of their wins. I just remember at the beginning of the year when they got that statement win over Bishop Miege. It's like, wow, that was cool. And they've had some really good wins this year against some high quality teams. And if they do pass Blue Valley Southwest, they'll most likely get DeSoto, who has a matchup with Leavenworth. And if DeSoto and Shawnee Heights do meet up, DeSoto has the edge, and Shawnee Heights lost 2 against DeSoto earlier in the year. But if they can beat Blue Valley Southwest, which is a challenge, and then if they can beat DeSoto, most likely will be, will make for one heck of a story, Caleb. It would be one crazy end to or one beginning to the state tournament. So that would be good for Shawnee Heights, but you never know. I'm kind of excited to see how 5A plays out, because there's some really talented teams and could be some upsets and everything else. So I'm looking forward to that, man.
Yeah, for sure. And then moving down to 4A, where we have one team from the Shawnee County, got hit with some pretty heavy weather conditions near the end of the year, but Hayden has a great chance in this regional. Hayden, who's 11-5, gets Chanute in the first round, who's 12-8, at the Orlis Cox Sports Complex in Ottawa. If Hayden advances, they'll get the winner of Ottawa, who's 14-5, and Lebec County, who is 7-13 on the year.
Yeah, that really sucks for Hayden. The weather cutting their season short like that, and Hayden's been having a really good year. Their losses are kind of deceiving. You see, I think what did you say, 11-5? Their 5 losses, 4 losses came from 3 teams that are hosting a regional this year, and 2 of those teams are in 6A. So if that tells you anything, and with Topeka High, Manhattan, and Ottawa, those are 4 out of their 5 losses. And with Jackson Summers and Cooper Grace and those guys leading the charge on the mound, with some really good offense that they have, which Jackson Summers has been huge. Braden Rose, all those guys have been sensational for them on the offensive side. They match up well with anybody in 4A, to be honest with you. If they do get Ottawa in this regional, I think they've grown a lot since that March 28th contest. but they have a chance to get revenge from its 3-0 loss against Ottawa earlier this year. But if you're a believer in this Hayden team, I don't blame you at all, because they're a really talented squad. They have a lot of depth, and honestly, they could really make some noise in this 4A tournament.
Yeah, for sure. And then the state's biggest rivals could have a chance to meet up on the 3A side with Silver Lake and Rossville, possibly in the same, or they are in the same bracket, possibly meeting up for another edition of the War on 24 in the regional hosted by Nemaha Central.
Yeah, that Nemaha Central bracket's really tough too. So it'll be a little tougher for those for Silver Lake and Rossville to meet up in the end. For Silver Lake, we'll start out with them. 13-5 on the year. One of the more interesting teams. You can make an argument that they're one of the most interesting teams in all classes. They've had a really great season. They've had some wins against some really powerful teams. And some really close losses too. Like, their losses have been like quality losses. Silver Lake has just been a really talented team this year that's just done a fantastic job. I think they do take care of business in the first round against Marysville, who sits at 6-12, and I think they would probably advance to the second round with what I'm looking at on the matchup side. But with Rossville, I mean, they're 8-10. I think they're kind of a sleeper in this tournament, or I guess in this regional bracket. They play Concordia in the first round, and Concordia is a really good team that could really present Rossville some challenges. So if Rossville gets past that, they have a good chance to honestly just make it to the end if they really wanted to. And they could make Rossville and Silver Lake, the way things look, they could meet up for a date with the 3A state tournament on the line. So I think the last time Rossville and Silver Lake met up in a doubleheader, Silver Lake took 2 walk-off victories, with an 11-10 victory and an 8-7 victory in kind of electric fashion. So that could be a fun finish to an end of a really fun baseball season. And with with 2 rivals in this Nemaha Central regional, it's a shame that both of them can't make it. But if they do meet up, it can be really fun. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, for sure. And that'll do it for our baseball coverage. But now we're going to move over to softball. So we got some really good teams in softball in Shawnee County. Starting off with Washburn Rural, who's 17-3 on the year, will host a regional as they welcome Wichita Southeast, who's 5-14 in the opening round. That bracket works well for Washburn Rural, with Campus 11-9 and Wichita High 7-13 on the other side, as the two-time defending state champ Topeka High, who's 8-10 on the year, gets familiar Centennial League rival Junction City in the first round, with Derby, who's 19-1 on the year, and Dodge City 3-17 in that regional as well.
Yeah, and starting off with Washburn Rural, I mean, they last year were an inch away. They were hit, one pitch away from really winning the 6A state title. They're neck and neck with Topeka High a year ago, but most of that team has returned. Most of those girls are back on the roster. It's the postseason now, and they have a really experienced team that's been there and done that before. So this year they've dominated. They've ran through a lot of teams. 3 losses all year long. That's a pretty successful season. 17-3, 17 wins out of 20 tries. That's not luck, and that's not by accident. But I really do believe that Washburn Rural should be considered the favorite in the entire class, and that's a really kind of a bold statement, because 6A is deep. It is loaded. There's a lot of good teams in 6A, but Elizabeth Stover leading the way, Coach Stover leading the way. You got Nebraska signee Emerson Cope, who's an absolute baller. She just broke the Washburn Rural career home run record and single season home run record a week ago. Got her leading the pack. The bats are creating havoc. The underclassmen are playing really well. This team, honestly, they can beat anybody that they see. I wouldn't be surprised if they made some significant noise down the stretch, and if they made a really good run, because this team is just stellar, man. This team is really, really good. And with Topeka High, man, not a great regular season run for them. It's hard to adjust everything, life without Nigel Kennedy. But they're doing okay. They're doing much better than they started off the year. And for them, they need to go buy some lottery tickets, because they got really lucky in the first round, because they get a team that they faced already twice. They get Junction City in the opener. very familiar with Junction City. It's one of their biggest rivals, and Topeka High swept them this year. And Topeka High is the lower seed, so and it wasn't just 2 wins; they were blowout wins. It was a 14-4 and a 17-4 victory. So they get a solid draw here, but they'll probably have to play Derby, and Derby has been like a number 1, number 2 team in the state all year long, so that would be tough for them. But it wasn't a fluke that the last 2 state titles have come back to Topeka High. So I never count out a team that's done it all 2 times in a row, and just keep them in mind. But that Junction City game could be a momentum booster if they win it, and that could be important if they play Derby in that next round.
Yeah, for sure. Derby's a tough team, but Washburn Rural has got all the tools to beat them. Seaman and Shawnee Heights. Seaman sitting at 12-8 on the year. Shawnee Heights at 13-7 are in separate regional brackets in 5A. They have a standout seasons with great performers. It should be a fun ride for both the UKC schools going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And Seaman right away, they get Blue Valley Southwest, who I believe is 8-11 in the first round at this Spring Hill Regional. Seaman, they are as hot as a $2 pistol right now. 5 out of the last 6 games, they've won them. They're really, I think, really playing their best ball right now. They've had great offensive play all year long. Aspen Burger, it's been great in the circle. Kalen O'Rourke, they've all been pretty solid all year round. 6 games above 500 as well. So Seaman's been playing really well. If they win against Blue Valley Southwest is always solid, no matter honestly, no matter the sport. Blue Valley Southwest is kind of a power. But if they do win, they get Spring Hill or Highland Park. Spring Hill is pretty notorious for having a really successful softball program. So that would be a fight for sure. But that whoever wins that Spring Hill Highland Park game, they'd face them for a date with the 5A state tournament, which is always fun. That Seaman, if it's Spring Hill, that Seaman Spring Hill match could be a really, really good one. I think that could potentially be the game of the year. Honestly, I think that's a really good setup, and that's a really fun for softball connoisseurs. And then the other UKC school, Shawnee Heights, they get St. James Academy right away, and St. James Academy 8-12 records always deceiving with schools kind of like St. James Academy up in Johnson County, but we know what Shawnee Heights is. We've talked about them every single week, it seems like, and they got a deep squad. Got one of the best underclassmen in the state with Grace Proctor. She's been balling all year long. She's been great in the circle, amazing at the plate. Carlin Bowman, one of the most powerful hitters in the city. She's been a force. She's really led the offense, and I think she still might be the home run leader on the team too. But everyone on that roster, everyone on that Thunderbird roster has done their part in some way to kind of contribute to the way that this season has worked out for them. And the season, they're just doing great. 13-7 is not bad by any means. So Shawnee Heights, everybody's done their part to contribute to the successful season. I really think that they can kind of keep this thing going forward. St. James will be tough, but if they get past St. James, they can have, well, I would say they have a really good chance of making to the 5A state tournament. I think it's up in Wichita. Yeah, I think so. So
then wrapping up softball, we're going to talk about a possible another War on 24 matchup with Silver Lake. Seeing at 18-2 in Rossville, 12-4, have a chance to have a rematch of the regional championship from a year ago. Both the rival schools are having great seasons, and they will have a chance to prove their worth in Class 3A this week.
Like I mentioned on the baseball front, man, it's a big bummer that these two teams, they work so hard to get to where they are just to play someone again that you've played so many times. It's a bummer that teams like this Rossville softball team and this Silver Lake softball team, who have been top 5 in Class 3A all year long, have to face off allegedly face off to go to the big dance. But it could make for an amazing rematch and a really good story, because the last time Silver Lake met up with Rossville, Silver Lake swept them twice. Closer games, but Silver Lake definitely had the edge there. Like I just mentioned, Silver Lake's been number 1 all season long in Class 3A. Rossville has been a top 5 team all year. Rossville recently got wins against 4A Wamego, number one Wamego, who was undefeated for the longest time. And that was a big, big statement win for Rossville. So getting hot at the right time. It's very prevalent right now. Silver Lake gets Nemaha Central in the first round, who's 6-12. So that they kind of favor in that. Obviously, I think Silver Lake's 16-2, 18-2, something like that. But Rossville, they get Atchison County, who's also struggled with the 7-11 record, and they have a really good chance of meeting up again. The way this bracket works out, they can meet up for a rematch for the regional championship, which last year Rossville won the regional championship over Silver Lake. So Silver Lake's probably looking for some revenge, but it could make for a really fun matchup here. And I would be very ecstatic because I'd probably be there to cover that one. So that would be a fun one to watch, but yet at the same time, kind of a bummer that they have to be in the same regional.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And then moving on, before we get to our Fave 5, the final sport was soccer. In 6A, Washburn Rural 11-4-1 on the year will host winner of the Wichita South, who's 1-13, and Wichita West 0-16 game on Tuesday. Topeka High will travel on Tuesday to pay a visit to Derby.
Yeah, it's obvious that I think Washburn Rural is probably going to, no disrespect whatsoever, but Washburn Rural is just that good. I think they will take care of business in this opening round, no matter who comes out with that play-in game, because one combined win for both of those teams is not great. And Washburn Rural has been really, really solid all year long, and they were in the state tournament last year. In fact, they were the state runner-ups, just one or two goals short away from winning the 6A state championship a year ago. So, and that team is really good this year. Rural has had some really jaw-dropping performances this year. They've grown. They've had an incredible season, some really good wins too against some powerful schools. So their season hasn't been a fluke at all. You look at some of their wins, and they get some really good wins against some powerful teams. But with Topeka High banged up all year long, we've talked about it here a little bit. But they got a lot of seniors on this team too. They got a lot of veteran leadership, and they want to go out with a bang. And this team has some star power. They got some studs on this program. Topeka High could upset Derby. It's not necessarily out of the cards. So if Topeka High does get that win in the match over Derby, which would be difficult, but if they did, they would probably face Washburn Rural again, and Washburn Rural has the advantage, winning a 4-0 game the first meeting. But both teams have had its ups and downs this year, but both teams they're pretty solid, and I think they deserve to be where they are. And I wouldn't be surprised kind of with the outcome if Washburn Rural and Topeka High, if one of those schools advance.
And then in 5A, Shawnee Heights, who's 7-9 on the year, will hit the road to take on powerhouse St. Thomas Aquinas, who's 13-2-1 in the opening round. If they win, they'll face the winner of Seaman, 13-1-2, versus Lansing, who's 6-9-1.
Yeah, absolutely. And and St. Thomas Aquinas, credit to them. They are a state powerhouse. They are one of the best programs in 5A girls 5A soccer state history too. Like, they are a prestigious program. They've done it all. But yeah, Shawnee Heights has had a little bit of struggles this year. But they play good soccer. It's not like they're necessarily out or anything. But yeah, that's kind of a tough draw right away. Obviously, I think St. Thomas Aquinas is the favorite in 5A right now. But if they did knock off St. Thomas Aquinas in the first round, that would be one crazy story everybody would talk about forever. Because this is huge, man. This is the 2023 campaign. If you knock off St. Thomas Aquinas in the regional opener, that would be huge. But on the other side with Seaman, they did mercy rule Lansing the last time that they met. It was a 10-0 decision. It was pretty easy for Seaman, and that's who they get in the opening round. So if you're a big history guy, or if you're listening and you're a big history gal, Seaman will probably win that game. And if Seaman gets Shawnee Heights, that would be a blast. Those are always fun, and I think it was a close matchup. I think it might have been like a 2-1 or a 1-0 victory the last time Seaman and Shawnee Heights met. But yeah, so Seaman has the edge in their matchup. Shawnee Heights is an underdog in their matchup against St. Thomas Aquinas. But it could be fun. it'd be really fun, actually. But yeah, like I said, if Shawnee Heights does get the win, Caleb, I would never stop talking about it forever.
Huge.
I
Huge.
tell my great grandkids about that one time Shawnee Heights knocked off St. Thomas Aquinas, bro. It'd be crazy. It'd be crazy.
Fun time. Fun time for sure. And then wrapping it up with 4A through 1A features county teams Paravel and Hayden, with both teams have a good chance of bringing home the state's biggest prize.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And on the east side, Paravel, 14-1-1, been one of the best teams all year long. In 4 through 1A. Zara Freeze, Catherine Keys, Kellyanne Chata, the strikers are amazing. The midfield is great. Their back line is solid. Great goalkeeping. Sawyer Shorts. Everybody for Paravel has just pitched in, and they are one of the smallest teams in 4 through 1A. I mean, they are the 1A. They are very small in that 1A side, but they've been super, super impressive this year. One loss against Seaman, one draw against Hayden earlier in the year. I mean, but other than that, the 14 wins have just been convincing. They've been mercy rule after mercy rule after mercy rule, shutout after shutout after shutout. Paravel's been one of the most solid teams in all classes, honestly. They really have proven their worth despite them being one of the smallest schools in 4 through 1A. But they get the first round bye, deservedly so, because they're the number 1 seed. They'll host either Eudora or Bishop Seabury, the winner of that game, and they've beat Bishop Seabury, I think, twice this year. So if Bishop Seabury was to win that, they'd be favored, but I think Paravel is favored no matter who wins that game, and they're heavily favored to make it to the 4 through 1A state championship or state tournament once again. After they made it last year, I think they knocked off Hayden last year to make it to the tournament, but Hayden's on the west side now. And they're 8-5-2 on the year. I think they host Augusta in that first round, who has had their struggles this year. They're 4-11-0. So Hayden will get them on the opening round Tuesday at 4:00 at Hayden High School. If Hayden wins that game, most likely hit the road and take on Rosehill. And Rosehill's been a pretty solid team this year, 10-6-0. I think that game would be on Thursday, but man, Hayden's been really good too. I watched them get a 10-0 victory over Tonganoxie last week, and once they get going, they get going. Once the goal scoring starts, it doesn't stop for a while. They are a really impressive group. They have some really talented seniors, some really talented freshmen. Reese Husher is the first person that pops in my mind when I'm thinking about someone that's an impact player. Reese Husher is an amazing for being a freshman. She plays like she's an upperclassman, and you get corner kicks from Brianna Barnett. You get strikes from Carson Broxterman, Jill Leonard, everybody. Hayden's just a really good team, and they should be able to take care of business against Augusta and then have a really competitive match against Rosehill.
Yeah, for sure. And with that, we'll move into our favorite segment of the weeks, our Fave 5. So let's get right to it.
It's rock, paper, scissors between the 6-year college students. Let's go, baby. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Okay. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Okay. It's fine. All right. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Okay. Always. Every time. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Okay. Every time. This is not scripted, folks. This is not scripted. All right. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Oh, the comeback kid. The comeback kid.
Got me. Didn't think you would do paper twice in a row, but
ooh, I did like 5 times in a row, felt like, but yeah. Let's get started.
Let's get to it.
Let's do it, man. For my number 5, I am going to go with Aubriana Torres Hill, track star from Topeka High. Torres Hill, she swept the girls' hurdle races at the Centennial League meet a week ago. She won the 100-meter hurdles in 16.62 seconds. Also won the 300 hurdles in 49.15 seconds. So 2 gold medals, Centennial League or as a Centennial League 100-meter hurdles and 300 hurdles champion. That's a good day. So Aubriana Torres Hill, congratulations. You just made the list.
Congratulations over there. My number 5 is Josh Solzen Watson from Washburn Rural on the track team. Solzen Watson won the boys discus with a throw of 155 feet 2 inches and won the javelin as well with the best throw of 181.1 at the Centennial League meet. So some dangerous weapons flying through the air with a discus and a javelin. So watch out for Josh because he's dangerous. But congratulations. You just made the list.
Congratulations, you killer. Let's go, baby. All right. My number 4. I got to go back to Washburn Rural, man. We got to go with Haley Beck here, a goalkeeper for the Junior Blues. Had an incredible match against Seaman in the 0-0 tie. Haley Beck, one of the best goalkeepers in the state, just threw her body on the line every chance we get. That game was an instant classic. It was a physical defensive matchup through and through. 2 overtimes, couldn't get 1 goal in, partly because Haley Beck did everything that she could to keep her team in it. And she's going to be she'll go down as one of the greatest goalkeepers in the city's history with the great soccer. But Haley Beck just balled out. She had a great match against Seaman. She deserves all the flowers, but congratulations, Haley Beck. You just made the list.
Congratulations. We're going over to Topeka High, where Brianna Devlin swims. Devlin was a Centennial League champ after winning her dive score with a score of 447.7. Not entirely sure what that means, but I do know that that is a very high score. So congratulations, Brianna. You just made the list.
And Brianna Devlin still has the best score, I think, out of everybody in 6A. And so in the entire state, she has the best diving score. She's consistent. I think she's won every single dive meet this year. The Topeka High diver is just insanely good. But yeah, great pick. My number 3, we're sticking in the pool here. I'm going to go with McKenna Pritchard from Washburn Rural. McKenna Pritchard had an amazing Centennial League meet once again, posted individual victories in the 50-yard freestyle and the 100 free in the Centennial League meet. Picked up, I think, 3 gold medals because she also helped with the 400 free relay as well to help the Junior Blues take a victory there. So McKenna Pritchard, congratulations. You just made the list.
Yeah, so we're going over to Northwest Topeka for my number 3 spot with Seaman's Megan Mills. Mills helped the Seaman tremendously in the 0-0 draw against Washburn Rural. She did everything in her power to keep Seaman in the match against a very talented Washburn Rural team. So congratulations. You just made the list.
It was a goalkeeper battle of the century, that's for sure. Megan Mills, also a terrific pick. Kind of like what I had with Haley Beck. It was just amazing goalkeeping through and through. But my number 2, we're going to go with Trey Rich from Highland Park, baby. Trey Rich. 4 gold medals. That's pretty good. He had 4 gold medals in the Metal Art Conference league meet. Helped the Scots take a 3rd place overall finish. Trey Richardson is a stud. You better recognize he's one of the best, and you shouldn't be shocked that he's on this list. But Trey Richardson, congratulations on winning all those gold medals, and congratulations on just being yourself, man, because you're a cool guy. But congrats, man. You just made the list.
Yeah, he's a stud for sure. My number 2, Audrey Appen from Washburn Rural, the swimmer. Appen won the 200 individual medley in 2 minutes 11.39 seconds and the 500 free 5 minutes 13 seconds 0.53. We're just going to go with that. Along with 2 more medals contributing in the 200 medley and 400 free relay victories, Washburn Rural won its 3rd straight Centennial League title. So shout out to the Washburn Rural swimmers and shout out to Audrey. You just made the list.
Audrey Oppen, man, she's just a freshman too, which is crazy, and she's had an amazing year along with Pritchard and along with Mara Bear and all those Washburn Rural swimmers. As a freshman, she's had an amazing year. But yeah, congrats to Washburn Rural, by the way. It's Centennial League champs. That's super cool, man. Against Manhattan, and Manhattan's a really tough team, but we got some number 1s. I think I know where we're gonna go with this. I feel like it's going to be very similar, so it's just going to be which twin are we going to pick out? My number 1, I got to go with Ian Cusick, Topeka West tennis star. He was part of the doubles team along with his twin brother, winning a state championship. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. And their state championship efforts helped Topeka West win its first ever team state title. But Ian Cusick, I think I know where you're going with the next one. Congratulations, you state champion. You just made the list.
Yes, and we're going to stay in Topeka West. We're going to stay in the family, actually, with Miles Cusick as my number one spot. Yeah, I mean, doubles champion, 5A state champs. What more can you ask for? I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory what the Cusick twins have done this year and done in their careers, as well as these doubles tennis players. Got a, as I said before, got a good feature story on them. Enjoyed talking to them. Enjoyed learning their story. So, got a special place for me with the Cusick twins from Topeka West. Really enjoyed following them this year as their season went on. But that is all we have for this week. As I mentioned earlier in the episode, there's not a lot left. And once the summer hits, we are going to be taking a break. But we still have some more episodes coming out after this. We're talking about some state baseball, talking about some regional baseball and softball as well, and some soccer state also. But that is going to do it for this week's episode of Top Sports Talk. Isaac, you got anything else before we sign off?
No, man. 11:27 p.m. So I'd like to say good night to you, sir.
Yes.
And good morning to everybody watching us, or good afternoon, or good night as well. If you're hearing me while you're falling asleep, I'm sorry, because my voice is not soothing at all. So apologies for that. But I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you clicking that button, the subscribe button after you watch this full episode too. I appreciate that. I really do.
Yes.
And I think
as
Caleb,
As Isaac said, remember to like this video, subscribe, and click the bell so you never miss an episode. But yeah, I think that's all I got.
That's all I got too, baby.
We'll see you guys next week.